Hello world, welcome to my kitchen. Tonight I am making chicken linguine Alfredo, which is just like chicken fettuccine Alfredo. I'm using linguine noodles, chicken linguine Alfredo, and peach cobbler. Ooh, yummy. And this is going to be what I'm making tonight for Sunday dinner tomorrow with the family. Well, with my parents. And so that is what I'm going to make. Hello, welcome. So I'm going to start off first with the peach cobbler. I got the oven on 325, and I'm going to start with this. Now I'm actually only going to make half a recipe of the peach cobbler because there aren't a lot of us and I don't have a lot of room to put it. So I'm going to make half the recipe of peach cobbler. So if you want the whole recipe of peach cobbler, just double everything that I'm doing. So I'm going to flip this around and show you my ingredients here. Let me get it. Gotta get this where I know you can see it, where I can see. Whoa. Crash, boom, bang. Having a minor catastrophe here. Oh goodness. Stop. Okay. Here we have my bowl. I'm making a shadow. Okay, this is, let me try. I know I've done this before. There, that's what I need to do. I'm trying to make it not too shadowy. Alright, let me go back to my page where my recipe is though. Okay, this recipe I got from cooks.com. It is called Delicious Easy Cobbler. This tells you, here you go. I've been making this one for a while. This one tells you to use, now I'm going to cut it in half. It would tell you to use a cup of fruit, but I like to double the fruit. I don't like cobbler that's a lot of cake and little fruit. I love the fruit, so I double the fruit. I don't double the sugar, and that's been successful because you put the sugar on the fruit, but I don't double that because I just don't think you need to. So here is, now what this is since I'm doing half the recipe, I'm using 2 cups of fruit. This is 2 cups of peaches. Those are fresh peaches, by the way. You can use canned peaches or frozen peaches. Let me, just a second, I gotta rinse this out because I'm gonna have to reuse this measuring cup. I want to get the sticky peach juice out of there. If you're using canned peaches or frozen peaches, it does tell you to drain them. I guess you could do it without draining them, but then you'll have a lot of juice. If you want a lot of juice, that's good. But you do have to keep in mind that that's going to make your cake less crispy. So I'm going to use then a half a cup of sugar and put on these peaches. You don't have to use peaches now. You can use whatever fruit that you want. I just love peach. The recipe says you can use blackberries, cherries, rhubarb, any fresh fruit in season, drained frozen fruit, or drained canned fruit. Whatever you want. You can even use mix. You know, I've made peach and blueberry mixed. Oh, that's good. So here's half a cup of sugar, and I'm putting that on top of the fruit. Then I am going to stir that a little bit. Now this will make it juicy. So you really don't need to add juice because this is, the sugar is, you know, if you let fruit sit in a lot of sugar, you get a lot of juice. So I'm going to have juice. Oh, I tasted these peaches earlier. These peaches are good. I had bought some earlier in the store a few weeks ago and they were not good. But these are good. They're getting good now. So there is peaches sitting in the sugar. I gotta see what I got going over here. Okay, let me get that ready just a second. I'm turning my water on for my noodles. And then I'm going to put in this bowl for the batter. Oh, first of all, it tells you to melt half a stick of butter. Now this is, like you see, this is the size I'm making. This is just a half, it's like a 9 by 13 pan is a half a size. So if you want the full size, just double everything. So this is a half a stick of butter. It tells you to put it in the oven, in a warm oven, and let it melt. You can also melt it in the microwave. This little pan I can put right in the microwave. But you can melt your butter in a dish and then pour it in your other dish if you want to. Or you can melt it in the oven. Just melt the butter and put it in that pan. That's all you need. Then we're going to use half a cup of flour. So here's my flour. And you don't have to sift flour. You just have to stir it a little bit where it's not tightly packed. Half a cup of flour. And this is the easiest recipe. This one doesn't have egg in it. half a cup of sugar. Now, to me, the key to making a good batter for cobbler that I like it is it's got to have a lot of sugar in it. This is half flour, half sugar. If it only has a tiny bit of sugar and it tastes kind of like biscuity, I don't like that. I like some serious sugar in the cake part. So that is what I am doing. Alright, put those away. Okay, so then we need 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, which I have right there. Put that in. Then I'm going to stir that up. So you don't need a mixer or anything for this, you just need a spoon. That's why I like this, because you don't need to pull out the heavy machinery. Oh, let me see what that butter's doing. Oh, nice and melted. Okay, here we go. So here's what you want. Butter all melted in the bottom of the pan. Just leave it in there just like that. Just a second here. I'm looking for my hot pad. Putting it down. Oh, come on. Alright, there we go. Close the door. Then it calls for, to half the recipe, I need 3/8 of a cup of milk. Okay, what that is 6 tablespoons of milk. 6 tablespoons of milk. Add that to the batter. I'm going to make sure I was telling you right. 6 tablespoons of milk. Then I'm going to take my spoon. Stir it in to make batter. And here we are. That's our batter. Ooh, look at that. You know what it looks like to me? It looks like runny sugar cookie dough. So all this has in it is butter, sugar. No, no butter. Butter's in the pan. This has flour, sugar, baking powder, and milk. That's it. Okay, so then I'm going to put in my dish with the butter, melted butter here. Let me see what my, oh, my thing's boiling over here. Let me get that to stop. Calm down over here. We're not ready for you. Let me get, do I have a spatula? A scraper. I'm looking for a scraper. Well, there's one. Here's my other one. That's the one thing I didn't get out. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to just pour this in the pan. Oh, I don't want that stuff. Just a minute. Get the batter off the spoon. Alright, I'll put that in the sink. I'm just going to take, and I'm going to leave that butter there. You don't mix it in the butter. You just let the butter sit there. And you pour this in your pan evenly. It's real sticky. This is so simple because you just dump it all in here and bake it. Normally, I didn't really like cobblers, and I finally figured out why. I went to a restaurant one time where it was kind of a home cooking restaurant. It was in Lehigh Acres. It doesn't really exist anymore, I don't think. But it was family owned, and it was a thing where you would buy a meal and it came with dessert. You know, you paid one price and you got a little dinner and dessert if you got like one of the specials. And she said the desserts are cobbler. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't normally like cobbler. But I thought, well, but I bought it, you know. It came with the dinner. I'm not going to say no. So I thought, well, I can always take this and let somebody else eat it. But I thought, well, let me try it. And that was the best cobbler I'd ever had. Now, of course, she wouldn't give out the recipe. But I got to trying to figure out, okay, how come I like this cobbler and I don't like other cobblers? What's the difference? The difference was the batter part was sweet, like cake. I don't like the ones that are like bready, biscuity, that don't have much sugar. It's got to be real sweet like cake. And then I'm like, oh man, I love this. So I started searching the internet to find a recipe that looked like what she made, and this is it. I don't know if this is the exact one she used, but boy, does it taste like it. So now all we do on top of this batter, make sure I'm doing it right here. Now remember, this is double the amount of fruit this recipe calls for because that's what I like, the fruit. And it's gotten pretty juicy now. This is the fruit and the sugar. 2 cups of fruit, half a cup of sugar mixed. Then I'm just going to dump this on top of the batter. The batter will kind of squish all over the place. Doesn't matter. Butter goes everywhere. You don't mix this. But look how much fruit's in there. But to me, that's the best part of the cobbler. Honestly, is the fruit. And I always like to make desserts with fruit because not only are they good, I kind of feel like at least it's a little bit good for you. So I'm eating sugar, but look, I'm having the nice fruit. At least I'm getting some good vitamins, right? I mean, it's better for you than not having the fruit. Okay, now all you do is put this in the oven, 325 degrees. It says about 45 minutes, but since I'm doubling the fruit, you do have to kind of watch that. It might take another 10 or 15 minutes, but you want it to be bubbly and you want all the batter that's going to rise, you want it to be browned. So, but I start with the 45 minutes and my oven's already warm, so I'm putting that in there. And I'm going to set my timer for 45 minutes. There we go. Now, cobbler is a bacon, and that's going to smell so good. Oh, I'm going to have a hard time not eating that tonight, but that's for Sunday dinner. So, no eating tonight. I'm going to move my phone over here. There you can look at my Parmesan cheese. So now we are going to make, that's chicken. All right, that's what part of what I'm going to use. That chicken is a couple pounds of chicken. Now I'm taking my fettuccine, or it's linguine, chicken linguine Alfredo. I'm making 1.5 times that recipe because I want it to be a little more. So that's about 2 pounds of chicken. Those were chicken tenderloins that were frozen. I put them in the oven, baked them for an hour. And then as soon as they come out of the oven, and I cover them to make them, take 2 forks and shred it all up. Then pull out, any bad pieces you don't want. So there's my cooked chicken ready to go. Then I'm going to make, I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well. Maybe if I move. It's going to be hot over there, though. Let's put down a hot pad. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing better. I don't want to get my cord in the chicken. Let's go around the chicken. There we go. All right, chicken, you move. There's my pan. Okay, what I have in that pan is 4 tablespoons, or 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to melt that. So let me turn that on. And then I'm going to turn this. I also have right here a pan of water that I'm going to boil my noodles in. And that's water with a couple teaspoons of salt in it. So there's that. And what I'm going to do in the meantime, move that aside. Actually, I'm going to push it that way. And I'm going to put this. This is a little teeny cutting board, little bamboo. Isn't he cute? I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to get an onion. Now this calls for, this recipe calls for chopped shallot. Shallot's a little teeny onion. You can get shallot if you want. I don't have any, so I'll use regular onion. To me it tastes the same. You can actually even leave this out if you don't want to. You can leave the onion out, but it adds more flavor. So I have found that if I cut the onion by my stove, where I have, this thing's wanting to not work for me, where I have my vent, my